Hello everyone! Yesterday I made a video about the quirky details of ADHD. The symptoms that I have, but are really more like annoying rather than they would make me run to a psychiatrist and get it diagnosed right away. These are things that will be found in the general population even when they don't have ADHD. Obviously not to that extent and obviously probably not in that combination, but they will be found. Today I wanted to talk about the more serious stuff, the things that actually hurt people along the way in their life, in their job, in their entrepreneurship, because ADHD people tend to be entrepreneurial. These will be the things that you really have to watch out for, and these are the things that resonate with the DSM-5 scale the most. And I'm bringing my trusty notebook for the first point, which is lack of motivation. I believe this is one of the main reasons why adults with ADHD even seek diagnosis in the first place. It is shown quite nicely that the effects of ADHD that are the primary ones, like the loss of focus, the tendency to make careless mistakes, the misremembering of stuff, the forgetting, constant forgetting of little things and big things, the tardiness, these all lead to a series of failures over your childhood, over your adolescence, all the way until you're an adult. And if you're lucky, you don't get a depressive disorder out of that. But what you do get is low self-confidence and low motivation to start anything else. Because if you know, and by the way, this is very dangerous with ADHD, that you usually don't know what is happening, but sometimes you unconsciously already understand, and it manifests as a bad habit, like in this case. So you don't know that something is wrong, but unconsciously you are already unmotivated to start new projects that require diligence and longer periods of time for you to be successful, because you know that you cannot rely on your own self, on your discipline, on your concentration for longer periods of time to pull through. Why would you be motivated to do anything when you know that you are going to fail anyway? And this is the result of multiple little or bigger failures over the course of an ADHD person's life. You drop out of college, not because you're the new Bill Gates, but because you just, you lose concentration all the time, you miss deadlines, things are not working out. This is very common. That's a big hit. You may forsake a relationship because of it, because it's really hard to live with an ADHD person that is untreated and doesn't know that they have ADHD. So lack of motivation, I believe, is one of the most sinister, even though secondary, effects of ADHD in adults. A thing related to this is the feeling of being overwhelmed with tasks that are not really overwhelming at all. So I used to be feeling like, well, there's just so much stuff to do and I'm always behind. It's just like a default state of mind for you. Also a secondary effect, because you know that you probably are behind. Even if you don't remember, you probably are behind on something. You have forgotten something and you are behind. Actually, many of my nightmares were just about just completely forgetting something and finding about it half a year later when it turned into a disaster. These were my actual nightmares, and those were much worse than any monster nightmares I ever had. Another major one is the inability to start and finish a project. So obviously starting a project is connected to motivation directly, but ending a project is another thing. And I have observed it in multiple people with ADHD, even though when in some of the cases they don't know they have ADHD, but it's pretty clear they do. And they are just unable to finish a project. So even when they start, and it's like their passion project, they just continuously make it better. And in many cases, this is actually to the detriment of the project. So they start, they do it takes them too long because they're ADHD, and by the time it's basically perfect, they feel like they have just started, and they add more, and they actually start to make it worse, and by the end they ruin it. And you know what's funny about the ruined state? They can repair it, so the project can continue forever. And one bonus one, it's not really a bonus one because it's one of the major ones, but it's a positive one for once. And it's hyperfocus. It is both positive and negative, and it is also related to the previous point. So hyperfocus is when you start a project, sometimes without even realizing that you wanted to start a project. Like, you may be working on something and then you see a video that inspires you to do something else, and you can just light up with such burning passion that you will be hyper focused on doing that instead for the next week. So maybe the first project was really good and you've been working on it for a month, but now suddenly the motivation is gone because 100% of your focus is suddenly directed to something else. This obviously can be a great boon because you are really 100% focused. But the problem is, as with most positives of ADHD, is that it doesn't really work effectively. Like, it sounds like a positive, but it's really not, because it usually takes you off some other project, because usually you are doing something, and it doesn't last for long enough. So if it's not something really short, like I just want to redecorate my room immediately, and you just hyper focus on that, and in a week your room is completely changed, and it's more like starting a business, which is really common, you will be screwed because you will probably be able to lose a ton of money on like trainings and maybe even like starting a web page and buying supplies and even maybe making a product, and like after several weeks it will just fall off and you will hyper focus on something else, and it will be an endless chain of hyper focusing on things that will never get done. You can imagine how in the financial sphere, in the business sphere, this is basically deadly. Like, you will starve yourself of money really quickly. That's the danger of entrepreneurs with ADHD. They like to start, they will probably be good entrepreneurs, but they can't focus for long enough. They can't stay consistent, and they will always start new projects. They will always fail repeatedly until they have no money and they have to go back to their boring job. I wanted to end this on a little bit of my own thought, because what it felt like before I got diagnosed and when I was really thinking all this through, like the 4 months ago, I wanted to formulate my thoughts, and I'm a pretty self-conscious person, so I believe that I formulated it quite well. I really wanted to accomplish something. I was fascinated by success. I got to the point of self-management and I would say maturity that I didn't envy anyone. I was just fascinated by them. I was fascinated by hard work more than success. I was fascinated by hard work. How is it possible that these people can stay consistent for this long? I really just wanted to know how to work like them. And the success, the success was secondary. I knew that the success would come if you were consistent and you had good ideas and you really were passionate about it. I knew that I had potential. I knew from, this is a typical ADHD story. It's from the teachers, from the friends, like everyone was saying, hey man, you have such potential, you're so smart, and what are you doing now? And oh, it didn't work. How is it possible that it didn't work out? And you're so smart. How is it possible that it didn't work out? And I also knew that because I took the Mensa test and I got in. Well, I didn't go into Mensa, but I made the cut for the 130 plus IQ, and all of these things just don't help you get anywhere. Like, it compensates. You can compensate with IQ and with better organization, related to the video above. But really, at the end of the day, if you want to accomplish something, you cannot compensate with your intelligence. You have to be intelligent, or you have to be super hardworking. You need to have an edge. And if you use your edge to compensate for being inadequate in just basic stuff, that's it. You're done. And that really is, I would say, the most scary thing about ADHD. By the way, if some of you listened to this and thought that, oh, that's just laziness, it's not. It's not laziness, actually. Again, I thought about it a lot, and I really explored my feelings. And I know that I have been lazy. I have been lazy a lot. I have been lazy in my teens. I have been lazy in my tweens. And I am lazy at points. Really, I am. But it's in a completely different state of mind than when you're just truly unmotivated and you don't know why. It's really kind of scary. You feel like you're locked inside your body and you just want it so much. It just won't do it. Anyway, guys, so these are more of the symptoms of ADHD, this time a bit more serious and far-reaching. These you should really look out for, and maybe these would be the ones that lead you to get a diagnosis, if you have them, of course. And please let me know in the comments if some of this resonated with you, and I'll see you next time.